Y'all, the big day has finally arrived. Today, Wiz did something massive. They officially announced the launch date for Wiz on console. Mark your calendars, everybody, for October 9th. That is right. Next Thursday, October 9th, Wiz is releasing officially on console for PlayStation and Xbox. Now, they announced this whole thing on all types of social media and released an FAQ. It's basically our first real complete look at what all of this looks like. So I thought I'd go over the FAQ, also just go over everything you need to know about the official launch. So what's happening next Thursday on October 9th? Wiz, they're basically making a live server that's not like a beta server, meaning all your progress should be saved. It works just like PC servers. That real awesome version of the game, it's coming to PlayStation and Xbox. They do not have an official launch date yet for Nintendo Switch. Now, they did say that eventually Nintendo Switch is happening, so don't be alarmed, anyone who's expecting this on the Switch. I'm actually someone who will be playing this on the Switch. I'm assuming there's certain regulations with Nintendo specifically that they just have to iron out. But while they're ironing all of that out, we'll still have an entirely playable version of Wiz where your progress is saved on Xbox and PlayStation. Now, how do you make a Wiz on console account? Some might be wondering. They actually did answer this, and I'm glad that they did this because I feel like a lot of people would have been confused. But unlike how we've done it historically, it's not going to be done through the website. When you download this game for free on Xbox and PlayStation, you basically make an account then. Now, if y'all remember their Wizard101 on Xbox servers announcement way long ago where they did a game preview version, if you did make purchases during this time, you will get all of the crowns that you spent refunded as long as you use the same account. So if you're one of those people, make sure you use the exact same account so you don't lose out on any of the money that you spent on the beta version of Wiz on console. Now, while all of that is really good practical knowledge, there's actually, I guess, a few restrictions, a few limitations that they did talk about in the FAQ that I thought are relevant. So apparently, just like you basically cannot make a console account through the Wizard101 website, you also can't log into your console account on the Wiz website after you create it on that device. I guess all of this is just to say that crossplay is really just not something that they've done yet, so there's no real overlap between PC and console, but it is something I was thinking about, right? What if you made it on console? Is there any way to access that on the website? Apparently not. All of the stuff that you do on console and interact with the game on console, you can only do it on that device, not on PC. And they've talked about this at length. Who knows what the state of this will be in the future, but right now there's only crossplay between people on consoles. There's no crossplay between people on a console and PC. What this basically means is, right, for the first time ever, not a beta server, but a live server will have a bunch of people playing Wiz with no extra like kiosks, no high levels helping them, nobody having like 10 years, 15 years of resources behind them helping you. Everybody's starting from scratch together. I don't know if that's gonna be really fun or really crazy. Who the hell knows? But yes, I think that's gonna be very unique to the console launch. We don't really know how the game is gonna feel like this many years in with nobody having anything, right? Everyone's gonna be having a fresh slate, basically. They also clarified in the FAQ how do purchases work. I think this is a good one. You cannot apparently purchase anything through the Wiz website for console. They basically have their own way to make all your purchases through console. So if you want to buy something in the Crown Shop, there will be a console exclusive Crown Shop. Very importantly, I don't even think there's a way to link accounts between console and PC the way that you can with two PC accounts. So whatever you do, do not purchase anything on PC with the intention of transferring it over to a console account. You'll have to wait for the console launch to make your first purchases. The only exception to that rule is if you already played the beta version on Xbox. If you made purchases, you kind of get those crowns back to start off with, but obviously you already paid for those crowns, so that's why you get them. Additionally, it also seems like you can't actually make a console account on, like, for example, Xbox, go over to a PlayStation if you happen to have that as well, and then access Wiz through that. It seems to be kind of tied to your device. However, let's say that you make like an account on one type of Xbox and then you try to play it on another type of Xbox. That is still possible. So that's good because I feel like with consoles, unlike PCs, you know, you might actually upgrade them a little bit more regularly. Like when a new PlayStation comes out, a lot of people buy the new PlayStation. So I think they at least are future-proofed if you buy the same console. However, I hope that they do address this. I actually think this is the one restriction that I think is actually really stupid, right? If there is crossplay between everyone of different consoles, then in my opinion, let's say you play PlayStation for a few years and you want to get an Xbox, you should be able to save that progress and access your Wizard on that Xbox down the road. So hopefully they address this. I think it would be a good way to future-proof Wiz on console servers so it doesn't feel like you're like kind of like restricted just to one console. Now, in terms of how payments work on console, this is also something that we haven't had too much clarity on. They've reiterated the point that we have seen them talk about before. You won't have to pay membership on this, basically the new live servers like we do on PC. Right now, the way purchases work, right? I go to the Wizard101 website, I can buy crowns, I can buy membership through there on PC. There is no version of that membership for like that we have on the website for console. Basically, if you want access to membership perks, you have to get crowns, and then you have to buy membership elixirs. Now, we already do have this on PC servers, right? The 1 month prepaid time. However, you could actually buy at a heavily discounted price a 6 month prepaid time elixir, and then basically you get everything that you would otherwise have as a member for those crowns. I'm actually gonna go off on a limb and say this. Hopefully they'll discount these for their official launch so it makes financial sense when you're trying it out for the first time. Your first month of membership on Wiz is already discounted on PC, if y'all didn't know. So hopefully they have a way of figuring that out. Either make it somehow that your first purchase in the crown shop, if it's prepaid time, is discounted, or just maybe apply a discount for the first month of the launch. I do think they'll do this. However, there's nothing from Wiz that says they'll do it. I just feel like it makes no sense to do an official launch without really incentivizing people to get on. I would go as far as to say they should probably consider making a large part of the early game free just for the official launch, so a lot of people get excited, and then figure out your payment model. Obviously, that part's up to them. They're probably trying to capitalize on the excitement on this. But at the same time, I hope they're also giving a bunch of new players a complete look at the game ASAP. But as far as the other payments, right? For some reason, gift certificates and even codes, things that we're very used to, right? If you see these little things in my side, right, all of these are codes. Either I bought bundles or I watched a live stream from King's Isle and then I put a code in. Right now, gift certificates and promotional codes are not supported on console. I'm sure we'll also get an update on this. These are pretty cool things that you don't want to lose out on console, but right now there is no support for those. So for example, last week they put out a bunch of codes on Cat Live. Those, I guess, will not work on console. In terms of gifting and stuff like that, you'll be able to gift to people on the same console as you due to regulations. I actually think that's pretty similar to how most games work that do have crossplay between consoles. Sometimes regulations on one console interfere with another. I think they're trying to avoid all that mumbo jumbo, so there are small restrictions on gifting. Now let's talk about the big elephant in the room, right? You can play the game, save your progress, make most of the purchases that you can make in Lab Realm right now with a few restrictions. To me, the biggest restriction on their FAQ is how chatting is about to work on console. Now, a lot of console games, they get around how hard it is to communicate because you don't have a keyboard, right, on a console by having voice chat. Wiz is marketed towards kids. They're not gonna have voice chat. As a result, right now, they are only supporting menu chat, meaning if you wanna play Wiz with somebody and communicate fully with them, you're gonna need a third-party app like Discord or something like that in order to communicate with them. Now, back in my day, I never used to see these yellow words. I didn't have open chat back in my day. I didn't even have text chat back in my day. That is right. You're looking at someone that survived on this game for about almost half the time I played this game to this day on menu chat alone. That is right. I survived off of the drop-down menu. This has come a long way. It's not the worst thing, but I found myself, especially when I wanted to play with some of my IRL friends, the ones that I actually played Wiz with at the start, I found myself back in my day. It started on a landline. I bet nobody even knows what a landline is, but that's how it started. And then we graduated to Skype and then Discord. That's how I've been playing the game for the longest time. I honestly don't really use open chat or text chat that much unless I'm literally solo farming something or doing team up. That being said, I feel like a lot of casual players, they're not trying to hop into a voice chat just to like communicate while playing this game. I do think this is also temporary because they got to figure out all the kinks, I guess, that come with doing this on console for the first time. But obviously, I think it should go without saying, Wiz is not responsible for what you're exposed to or what you hear while using third-party apps to communicate while playing the game. It's not on Wiz. So for anybody, that's, erring on the side of caution, especially if, there are kids involved, maybe you want to play with your kids, maybe you want your kid that has a console to play Crossplay, keep that in mind. There are limitations to what they can do in game, maybe not many limitations on what they might be exposed to while trying to communicate while playing the game, if that makes sense. Now, I'm sure a lot of people on Switch are obviously concerned about why the release date got like changed and everything, and so far I've done a lot of scrolling through the internet, a lot of news sources, and the only thing that I could find is this little interesting tidbit. This is actually from one of the marketing people at Wizard101, but they're still, I guess, negotiating how payment works on Nintendo, because they have certain rules around what's considered free to play, and they're working on a $20 bundle where you can essentially go through the first arc from Wizard City all the way to where I am right now in Dragonspire, right, all the way to the end of Arc 1. Now, $20 for the entirety of Arc 1, that is actually, in my opinion, pretty decent. The only equivalent payment that I can think of is a level 50 elixir. Now, this is different than buying a bundle that unlocks every world because it doesn't level you up through the world. But even if you get crowns heavily discounted, this is essentially a $30 purchase. Instead of a $30 purchase, you basically can pay $20 and unlock all of Arc 1 forever on Wiz on console. This bundle that they're working on so that the Switch servers can officially launch, they're also working on it for Xbox and console. It might actually be a better purchase, almost like how expansions work on World of Warcraft. That might be a better purchase than actually buying Member if you're still on the fence about whether Wiz on console is for you. This is something that I think is a huge silver lining in all of this with all the restrictions. We might get things like this, right? Bundles that incentivize us to purchase things that are way, way better in terms of like what you're actually getting. The bang for the buck seems to be better with this bundle than most things that I've ever seen on Wiz on PC. So that is a silver lining for people that are concerned about the Switch launch or the Nintendo launch, whatever they're planning with that. The way I see it, they're probably gonna hash that out by early next year, but in the meantime, I think a lot of people, for the first time ever, are going to be playing Wiz on PlayStation and Xbox. Let me know what y'all think. Hopefully, I covered all the FAQs. I know a lot of people have been asking about the release date and what it's going to look like. This seems to be the most complete picture we've gotten. Obviously, y'all, an official launch will come with some restrictions, but I think we should celebrate this. The fact that it's finally happening, what a day, bro. Let me know what content y'all want me to do while we're on Wiz on console. I will be getting a console for this, hopefully by the 9th. But if not, soon after. I'm open to all ideas, especially on a fresh new server. The possibilities are dead ass endless. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Let me know what y'all think they should do for Wiz on console to be an even better success on launch day. I look forward to reading all of y'all's comments. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon. And yeah.